Pittsburgh, and the new wave of athlete activism has been spurred by acts of police brutality. So I'm just curious, how do you handle conversations around police brutality, and what's your role been on the team's social justice committees?
I think it's kind of obvious what my stand view is and my point is on it. Obviously, there's some bad apples in every organization that you look at, and it's hard to pinpoint to say every cop is bad, and I know that's truly not the case because I work with a lot of them, I'm friends with a lot of them, but I know there is an issue that we have to clean up, and hopefully that we can get on the same board. I think we've been working with the cops, tremendously over the past couple of years as far as doing stuff in the community with them, getting the community involved, giving money to them, helping them out in different areas. But it is just right there in plain sight that something has to change, and hopefully everyone's on board with that, and we'll see how the near future comes.
Ray Fittipaldo, Post-Gazette.
Hey, Maurkice, you played alongside Ramon and Dave for so long. What's it been like this camp playing with Matt, Stefan, and now even Dotson, trying to build that chemistry as the season nears?
With Matt, it's come along really easily. We've been around each other a long time. He's obviously a strong player, can move really, really well. He's locked into the offense. He knows the ins and outs, how we block and how we protect. And I just think with the other guys, Dotson, he's a younger guy. He's trying to learn. He's very, very strong, powerful. He can move well. Obviously, when you're a young guy, you're doing a whole bunch of wild stuff. But I think he's going to be a great player here pretty soon down the line. But, Wiz is a veteran player. He's a really, really smart guy. He kind of knows the ins and outs of football. He knows how to adjust whenever blocks come and things like that. But it's good to have another voice in there that, can talk a little bit deeper about defenses and understanding the true game.
Albie Oxenrider, PXI.
Hey, Pounce, how's it going?
It's going well. How you doing?
Get your coffee yet?
For sure. Can't start the morning without it.
Are you good to talk to you? Are you ready to be done with the way this offseason has been, and not only the virtual offseason, but now the training camp that you've had? I know you guys have gotten down to business, but are you kind of a week from tonight, the NFL starts, and week from Monday, you guys kick off. You ready to get on with it?
Oh, for sure. I like normalcy, but I understand right now that we got to abide by some of the protocols that are going on. It was at first a little adjustment period to try to get used to it. As the older player, you kind of want to come in and have your same routine as you always do, but you've got to understand the bigger picture and things and trying to keep people safe and things like that. So we kind of understand it, man, but yeah, you're right. I kind of want normalcy.
Teresa Varley, Steelers.com.
Happy belated.
Thanks, Pounce. Good morning. Hey,
morning.
You just said you like normalcy. You're getting Ben Roethlisberger back at quarterback this year. Is that the normalcy that you love the most?
I think that's for the whole Steeler Nation. To see him back there, man, to see how comfortable he's been, to see how motivated he is, to watch his whole process of going through the surgery and then, to come back like this in year 17, been incredible to watch, man. I know injuries are not hard, and especially at that age, man, but he's been out there rocking, man. He's a true leader, man, a true soldier, and you can really appreciate the type of players. That is normalcy for sure.
Jeff Hawthorne, 93.7.
Hey, Maurkice. Hope you and your family are well.
Doing well, man. Me and Al had that interview in the offseason, man. Gave you guys some good views.
I'll stay away from that.
It was funny. Send us the paycheck.
Hey, I am wondering, as someone that's been outspoken on social issues, what you think about other athletes now involving their voice in the process?
I think it's an awesome platform for guys to do that. I think that, we don't realize how much and how big our platform is. And some guys try to wait till they're done planning to use their voice some, and it doesn't react the same way, because when you're in this position, I try to tell people all the time, man, we can rewrite practices, we can rewrite how to run a play or a defense, but you can't rewrite how to stand united and all as one as sports leagues. And I think that was a good start. It showed a lot of, people in leagues around here that these guys are serious, man. And hopefully everyone sees how serious we are and jump on board with it.
I'll get you that check.
Yeah, for sure.
Will Graves, AP.
Pounce, good to see you. I know this seems like a million years ago now, but when the CBA stuff was coming up, you were pretty outspoken that you were pretty seem to be dead set against sort of the proposal that was approved. I guess, what are your thoughts on it now, looking at the uncertainty that sort of lies ahead financially for the NFL? Does it at least give you some solace that at least there's a labor deal impact and you're not looking at what the NBA and the NHL are looking at in terms of uncertain futures?
I've been in the game a long time, so to sit here and say the NFL is going to be hurting for money, I find that hard to believe. There's always a cap number put in place to kind of put the players in check and make sure that they're not overdoing any things, in my opinion. But to say the NFL won't hit numbers as far as TVs, as far as advertisement, to make up some of that money, as far as to say that they're going to lose, it'd be hard for me to believe that. Last time we did a CBA deal, $300 million was randomly missing, and then it got brought back into discussion. So that's my stance on it. I think there's a lot of great owners around the league, but you know, they're billionaires for a reason. They're very smart financially.
Chris Carter, DK.
Hey, Maurkice, I wanted to hear from your perspective, as you were the guy that was drafted 10 years ago to start to change the offensive line and to set the tone. And now you're in a situation where you've worked with guys like David DeCastro for several years, and you talked about the new guys coming in. What's your perspective as far as where this offensive line is headed and just the journey that you've been on, seeing the change over the past decade and heading into this new decade?
It's been a fun experience, man. As you get older, you know, they bring in guys and you just so built on trying to create them and help them become great players, and, you know, so they can go on and be there, you know, have great careers and futures. But I think the Steelers have done a great job of bringing guys in, and as far as draft picks and, you know, free agency guys. But the young guys they got coming up right now, as far as Dawson and, you know, some of the Chooks and Banner, I think, you know, the Steelers are headed in the right direction. And, you know, it's very, very positive, man. I just enjoy the moments, man, because as you get older, man, you kind of lose some of the stuff that you kind of look forward to, man. And them guys have brought a lot of energy back to the room, man, and I really appreciate that.
Mark Cavalli, The Athletic.
Mark.
Hey, what's up, Pounce?
Back
Back to that CBA question that Will asked. Do you think the timing was good on that, where you guys signed it right before the COVID stuff, or was that a bad situation? What's your thoughts on the timing of it, and would you have signed it if you knew what was going on, you know, a month later?
No, I still feel the same exact way. To say that I still think that we should have waited and got everything that we wanted. To say that the NFL is hurting and guys are signing multi-million-dollar deals, and for me, I just don't understand what the whole narrative is. If that was the case, then why are guys getting paid? But we'll see how things turn out.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN, follow-up.
Hey, Pounce, I know you ended the season with the knee injury. I was just wondering, how severe was that injury, and when were you kind of cleared to start returning to football practice?
Well, I tore my meniscus, so they just wanted me to – I could have got the surgery, but they kind of wanted me to rehab it and see how things kind of played out with it, because, you know, as being an older player, that's kind of like your lubrication for your bone-on-bone joints. And I think it was a smarter decision for me just to rehab it throughout the offseason. I had a lot of time to really work and get myself strong in that area. And I kind of got lucky with the aspect of it not catching and not being a lingering issue. So hopefully it stays that way throughout the season, and we'll see how things turn out.
All right, we have time for two more. Mike Prizzuta, DVE.
Hey, Maurkice. Troy Vincent said that the players have the right to protest and sit out games. Do you see any of that happening with the Steelers this year?
No, not sitting out games, no. Our platforms are huge to speak out on, but I also think football is our main objectives in our lives, but we can't ever forget the simple fact that football is a game and there are people going on with real issues. So we're here to step up on the plate on that and understand the significance as far as our voices and as far as pushing change, but sitting out a game would be hard to say in my eyes.
And last question, a follow-up for Will Graves, Associated Press.
Pounce, just curious, I mean, you're closer to the end than the beginning. Have you sort of looked down the road a little bit, and, you know, how much longer do you think you might be willing to play, especially given maybe the financial climate that you just sort of painted?
Yeah, I just think for me personally, it's just all about having fun and enjoying it. For me, contract's not an issue. The years in the league is not an issue. I think for me, it's just every day I'm coming in and I'm enjoying it still. I think that the fact that the guys bring up, we got a good young group. The guys are still motivated, and I feel like I can still do it at a very high level. So until someone proves me otherwise, then I'll be playing.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for the time. Quick question about the distractions, and I don't want to suggest that they were distractions, but do you think that COVID and the social issues that everybody's dealing with, do you believe that they were distractions from what you guys were doing in camp in any way?
I don't think so. Especially, obviously we didn't have, spring activities and OTAs and minicamp, but once we got back into the building, it was business as usual. Obviously, this was my first season with the Steelers, but it just felt normal to be back in a football setting. It felt normal to be back with guys focusing on one goal, and that was to have a great camp and prepare for the Giants in 11 days.
Brian Batku, PG. Brian, you're using an older version of Zoom, so for some reason that's making this hard to get you on.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
All right, I'll get a laptop from 2020 at some point maybe. But hey, Chris, I wanted to ask you, so far, not to jinx it, but you guys have been pretty healthy through camp. How much of that do you think is a factor of just pure luck, or is it kind of the way Coach Tomlin has run camp in terms of making sure you guys stay fresh, stay healthy, and has it differed at all from the previous camps you were in Baltimore?
Yeah, I think Coach Tomlin's done a great job of taking a safety first approach, obviously with COVID and the protocols that have been put in place on and off the field, but also when we have off days. I think we're taking the right amount of off days when it comes to recovery and making sure our bodies are healthy and we can perform day in and day out.
Chris Adamski, Trib.
Hey, Chris, just first off, what position are you playing? Are you playing all across the line, whether it be the nickel and the ends and nose? And then could you talk some about the similarities and differences between the Steelers and Ravens' defensive philosophies?
Sure. So I guess in the 3-4 scheme, our base package, I'm more of a 4-tech, playing on the tackles, and then we go into our sub packages. I'll be, I guess, inside on the guards and centers, depending on strength of formation and all that stuff. So mostly interior D linemen when it comes to I guess both packages. But as far as similarities and differences, I guess the biggest thing that's probably similar is that our base defense in the 3-4 is pretty similar. Obviously, there's a few tweaks here and there between Coach Martindale and Coach Butler, but I think the biggest thing is that there's a big emphasis on pass rush here, which is great. And obviously, we have those 4 guys up front that can get after the passer and are extremely good at what they do when it comes to that. But there's definitely some similarities and differences when you take a step back and look between the two defenses.
Brett Pryor, ESPN.
Hey, Chris, I know you looked like you were missing some time at the beginning of camp dealing with an injury, and that compounded with, like you said, no spring, no OTAs, no minicamp, none of that stuff. What has the transition been like trying to get acclimated to this team when you do have to deal with some of those challenges?
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say it's been easy, but there's definitely been some challenges that have presented itself. Obviously, at the beginning of the season when I got traded and there were no in-person and, no face-to-face meetings for almost, 5 months. So that like you said, compounded with my injury that I had at the beginning of camp has, I guess I wouldn't call it a setback, but it's given me some challenges when it comes to especially the on-field reps and seeing where everyone fits and kind of getting that chemistry between the defense and myself. It's been a challenge for sure.
All right, Noah Stratbeam, Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Chris. Following up on the injuries that you've dealt with, how close to 100% are you? And, how has it been working with Cam Hayward and Stephen Tuitt and Tyson, while you're on the sideline but still trying to learn?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say but by game 1, in 11 days, I'll be 100%, and I'm working towards that. And the training staff and the coaches have been great in allowing me to, take my time when it comes to getting back on the field and just figuring out the process of balancing getting back on the field and feeling comfortable while maybe fighting through a little bit of pain just to get those on the field reps. But, when I got traded back in March, I was really, really excited to be able to learn from Kim and Tuitt. I think those two guys are, probably the best, 3-4 ends in the league, and to be able to learn from those guys this year and soak up as much as I can when it comes to how that position is played. I'm really excited, and also with Tyson, this is his 11th year, so he's been around and he's played really, really high level football for a long time. So just picking up things that they do on a day-to-day basis, whether that's how they handle themselves within the building, the leaders that they are, how they handle, not even just the football things, but recovery and the leaders in the community that they are. There's a lot to learn from those three.
All right, last one's going to be a follow-up for Chris Damsky.
Hey, Chris, I don't know if the rivalry is as simmering as it was maybe a decade or two ago, but you're one of the few guys who played for both the Steelers and Ravens. What is kind of the Ravens' view of the Steelers in terms of whether it be a healthy dislike or the respect level, and what's the view now that you're on this side of it in terms of looking at the other way?
Yeah, I think first and foremost it's at respect level. I grew up watching this rivalry. I was a Steelers fan growing up, so I grew up watching, especially on the defensive side of the ball, those battles that those teams had against each other for so long, and to this day. Last year and the 2 previous years that I was with the Ravens, these 2 games were the ones that we were circled, and this year when it comes to October 25th, our first time playing them, and then Thanksgiving when we play the Ravens, those 2 games obviously for me are, I guess, a little more personal, but those are circled for me that I want to have my 2 best games of the year against the Ravens. So I think the rivalry is still alive and well, and I think we're going to be the 2 top teams in the division fighting for that division title this year.
We got one more follow-up for Pryor.
Chris, going back to you mentioning the Ravens and everything, I know they came out with a pretty strong statement. I believe it was last week about social justice and police reform and all of that. I was just curious, how do you kind of compare the way these 2 teams that you've been on talk about social justice and talk about police brutality and some of the issues around that?
I think the statement that the Ravens had put out was amazing. Anytime that you can use your voice and use your platform to encourage progress and encourage, betterment for everyone is important. And I know that here at the Steelers, we've had long talks even in the off season of ways that we can contribute to social justice, ways that we can be a better men in the community when it comes to things like that. But I think any time that you try to put a good effort forward, I think that it's positive, and I know that the Ravens are big into that, and I know the Steelers are as well. We have a committee that meets I think once a week maybe, and they're coming up with ways to make this community and make ourselves better people.